to the 100-Acre Wool Knitting Podcast. My name is Bella, and this is a podcast where I like to share with you and talk with you about what I have been making recently, and that is usually knitting related, as I am a knitter and knitwear designer and lover of all things wool and fiber arts and handmade wardrobes, and making a wardrobe that is completely your style and also handmade, and yeah, all good things like that. So if that sounds interesting to you, then keep on watching. If you are not new around here, you may know it's been a while since I've posted a podcast episode, and that is because life just happened. I won't get into too much of it, but basically my purse was stolen, and that was a big, just kerfuffle, horrible thing that happened, and took me a couple weeks to recover from that. And then also we've just been traveling a lot and having friends and family visit, and there's just been a lot going on, and I haven't really been in the headspace to film or even knit that much. So it's been a long time, and for how long it's been, I don't have like as much to share with you because I haven't been knitting as much as quickly as I would normally do. But I'm feeling a lot better now. Things are finally starting to calm down and get back to normal. So I thought I would hop on and share with you what I've been up to for the past quite a few weeks. So we'll get straight into things. I think today is all knitting except for one item, which is crochet, Amigurumi to be exact. So I'm really excited about this particular project. I've been wanting to try Amigurumi and get into a little bit more crochet for a long time, so I'm having a lot of fun with it. So let's just get started. I will first talk about what I'm wearing since things are starting to warm up. I am in Northern California. I live in Northern California right now. And I don't know if we're having like a heat wave or what, but normally it's not this hot at this point in the year, in like early-ish May, and it's already getting pretty warm. So I am wearing one of my new designs that I'm still working on. It's still in the works. Almost ready for test knitting. I am actively writing the pattern, and yeah, it's gonna be ready for test knitting pretty soon. But I'm wearing one of the samples. I've been knitting a couple samples because we'll get into it, but I'll just stand up so you can see it better. This one I think I talked about in the last podcast episode if you would like to hear more details, but as you can see, it's a really short cropped version. It is worked top down, flat, and then in the round, but there is no seaming at all whatsoever. So really simple pattern. I would say a beginner could definitely do it if you have done any sort of increases or decreases, things like that before. So it's a really like fun pattern. So I've been having a lot of fun making the other samples of it. So this particular design is called the Amigurumi Blouse. So it's just a sweet little summery, springy kind of idea of a pattern. So that's something, I wanted something like this in my wardrobe for a really long time, and I figured why not just make one. So yeah, this is the first sample. And the reason that it's so short is because I literally was running out of yarn, and I was just trying to make it finished in like with the littlest amount of yarn. So anyway, that's the story about that one that I'm wearing. And we will first get into the first work in progress. I don't have any finished objects this week, just a lot of things that I'm working on. So I will share this second version, or third version if you would like to say, I'm not sure. I'm like actively working on two other versions of this blouse right now. So I don't know if you want to call this the second or third version. You can't really see much right now. It's kind of hard to see what we're looking at, but this is going to be another short sleeve version. So again, like I said, it is worked top down, flat at first, and then for this one, when I got to the bottom of the v-neck, from here down, it's in the round. But for this one, I am doing a slightly different version of the design. So another thing about this pattern that I really wanted to incorporate was just different types of things that you could do with it, kind of using it as a base pattern, and then you can adjust it and do slightly different things to make it exactly how you want it. So in this sample, I am doing more of a cardigan style. So I am not knitting in the round. I just kept knitting flat. So maybe I can kind of, because it's squished on my needles right now. I know this is always a tough state to show it in. And I only have so many hands, so maybe you can see here. So this is like the back, this is the front. So right now I'm just working flat. So I got to the end of the V-neck and then I just kept going flat so that it will be buttoned down the center. I wanted it to be sort of a cardigan style. I'm never gonna wear it open, I don't think. I think it'll always be buttoned, but I just wanted that little like button detail down the center. And I have some buttons that go really well with this yarn that I purchased for this particular sample, and I just really want to use them together. So yeah, that's what the plan is for this one. And I have the buttons over there. I'll show it with you all next time when we're on to that step. But for this sample, I am using the Biche et Bouche Le Petit Lamb's wool. So I don't think I had ever used this particular base before this sample. This is a fingering weight, non-superwash, pretty woolly wool, I would say. It is 100% lamb's wool. It is on the softer side of more rustic kind of yarns, and it is a lighter fingering weight. It's just a 2-ply, which I really like 2-plies, but it's kind of a really loose spin to it. So far I'm really enjoying knitting with it, and I think even though it is wool, I think with the gauge and how thin the yarn is, I think it'll definitely still be wearable for summer and late spring and all like that. And also since it's gonna be a short sleeve. So I'm really excited about this one. I think the color is gonna suit me really well, which I think I talked about last time. I've been trying to work on some more projects with colors that kind of being more intentional about the colors that I choose for the patterns that I make, not just the style of the garment, but also the colors. I want it to go with all the things in my, or most of the things in my wardrobe, so that I can have a wardrobe that everything kind of looks good together, so I can just throw things on easily, and also colors that will suit my complexion and hair color and whatnot. So that's kind of the idea. So I really am excited about this one. And let's see, I wanted to show you all my little trick for stretching out for either for like trying on purposes or just seeing how a garment is going as you're knitting it. I wanted to share with you all my technique for stretching out the stitches, like making them flat, not all bunched up on your needles like this. I wanted to share with you my technique for that. If you don't have one of those little like silicone, do I have it with me right now? Yeah, these little like silicone cords that you can attach to your needles. I've talked about them in the past, but if you don't have one of those, I wanted to share with you another potential technique that you could try. So just get a piece of scrap yarn. I just have this scrap yarn here, and I have threaded it onto a sewing needle, not like a normal, like we would use to weave in our ends. Those needles are too thick for this. Put it onto a sewing needle, and then if your needles, there's kind of a caveat. You have to have needles that have a little hole here at the bottom. So these are my Chiaogu interchangeable needles. Is this gonna focus? There we go. So these are my Chiaogu interchangeable needles, and hopefully you can see there's a little hole here at the bottom that you use to tighten up the needles. I'm not sure if all interchangeable needles have this. I would assume so, so that you can actually tighten them up. But anyway, if you have that on your needles, then you can thread with the sewing needle, you can thread the scrap yarn through that, pull it through, and then you can just slide all your stitches, or a lot of your stitches, off the end of your needle. And since you have that scrap yarn there, it's just gonna go onto the scrap yarn. So that is a free way to get the same effect of these little silicone cord things if you don't want to purchase one or whatever like that. So that's kind of a little idea. Oh, you might want to also remove the sewing needle so it doesn't poke things. But yeah, so there we go. So you can see I can just like move them all off. And then you will have to kind of pick them up again a little bit when you want them back on your needles, but this is a really quick and easy way to stretch out your stitches better. And maybe if you want to steam block it a little bit to see how it's laying, or just try on your project as you're going, and all like that. So that's laying a little bit flatter now. So that would be a better way for me to try this on. So I'm going to leave it like that so I can try this on and see how it's looking. But yeah, so that is that version of the Amaretta blouse in progress. And oh, and before I forget, we have a new pattern released. I know it's a little bit late for this, but as I said, life was crazy and I honestly just anyway. My Today Beret is finally out now. It was actually just published today. I'm filming this on a Saturday. And it's finally out. It is an all-over brioche, but really simple kind of a beret. I actually went to Tahoe with some friends recently, and I wore this beret the entire time. I will try to put in some video and or photos here. It was a really fun time. We were expecting, before we went, we were expecting it to be cold, like 40s and 50s. To me, that's cold. Degrees, Fahrenheit, not Celsius. And that's what we were expecting. And then we get there, and there's literally a blizzard. Like, full on, we got about 7 inches of snow in one day in Tahoe. In May. This was just like last week. This was like a week and a half ago or so now. Or maybe 2 weeks ago at this point. Anyway, early May, and it was blizzarding. It was crazy. We got so much snow. It was so much fun, but it was so strange because it's been getting warmer here, and then we go just a little bit north and it's like winter again. It was like, what happened? This is so strange. But that was a lot of fun. So anyway, the Today Beret got a lot of wear over that trip, and it certainly functioned really well. It was really warm. I was able to pull it down to cover my ears and keep my head nice and toasty warm and away from the excuse me, away from the wind and the snow and all. It was crazy, but it was really fun. So anyway, this pattern is now released. I think it would be a really great gift knit or anything like that, a quick knit. I named it the Today Beret because you can knit any one of the 3 sizes in the pattern. You can knit them for sure within one day. So there we go. Quick, fun little knit. And if you've been wanting to try brioche and you never have, I think this would be a good one to practice and kind of get your footing with that. Water break. Remember to hydrate. It's getting warmer. Okay. So, and I will have that linked down below. It's also in my Ravelry store, but I will have the pattern linked down below if you are curious about that. So let's see. I will just pick up the next whip that is right in front of me. So this is another design that I have going in progress, and we are getting towards the end here. I'm still kind of designing this as I'm going with all the finishing. I'm trying to figure out like how long I want certain elements. So this is my velvet moss vest, and I am so happy with how the final fabric came out. This is kind of what it's gonna look like. And right now I'm just working on the edgings. So just simple rib edgings, and I also have this portion at the bottom still on the needles. I think I'm gonna make it a little bit longer here at the bottom, but so far that's what this is looking like. It's an all over herringbone stitch, and it's also color work, not actually color work, it's mosaic knitting as well. So you're only ever working with one colorway at a time, but it gives this really fun, what I think a really fun texture and colors. So I'm really excited about this one. And again, I still need to finish up the edgings on the top and bottom, and then do the sleeve holes as well. But yeah, still kind of designing this as I'm going, and this one will be ready for test knitting a little bit later. I want to do the Amaretta blouse first, since I think that is more seasonally appropriate at this point. So there we go. That is this one, and I'll share with you the back as well. I had a lot of fun with this fabric. It's very engaging, but it's also like once you get in the rhythm of the pattern, it's just really fun to do. So there we go. That is the Velvet Moss Vest. And I used 3 different yarns for this. I used, for the kind of dark blue colorway that's going throughout, that was a hand spun of mine, about a sport weight hand spun. And then for the kind of mossy green color, I used a mixture of Onorok Air knitted in yarn. This is just an unspun wool yarn, and held it with a mohair. So I have finally cracked into the second skein of this, and those two are kind of held as one, and then the other colorway is the hand spun. But yeah, it makes this garment really warm and thick, so I think it's gonna be really great for the fall time to keep like your core really warm. So yeah, excited about that one. I had a really fun time designing and playing with this fabric and getting it to look this way. Like, I wanted it to really look like actual woven herringbone fabric, where the colors would change like how it does in an actual woven kind of a thing. Anyway, I feel like I'm rambling on. Let's get into the next work in progress. I am still working on my Light Gems wrap. So it's grown a little bit, I think, since last time. That's how it's looking now. I am really excited to see this when it's finished, because it's going to be really long. This is how, like, from here to here, that's how wide it's going to be the whole time. And then it's just going to get really long, and the kind of cables and laciness is kind of going to morph and change throughout. So I'm just really excited about this one, but I haven't been dedicating as much time to it. I don't have a particular reason. It's just so many exciting things on my needles at this point, and I need to focus on something. So that's how this one's going. It'll happen when it happens. The pattern is actually already done for this, to be honest, so I suppose I could start test knitting. Let me know if you think I should just start test knitting on this before I've even finished my sample. But the charts and everything is already finished, so technically we could start test knitting already. Let me know below what you think. Would you like to see the full finished version first and then start test knitting, or should we just all make it at the same time? Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have much to say else about this. The yarn that I'm using for this sample is an unspun yarn, so really lightweight is the reason that I chose this. The unspun yarn is much less dense than normal yarns for like fingering weight yarn, if that makes sense. The same amount of grams will get you a lot more yardage, so the overall garment or accessory ends up being lighter, is what I've found. So that was kind of the reasoning for choosing that yarn. But I think this would also be really beautiful, since it is a shawl wrap sort of a thing. I think this would be really beautiful in a more drapey yarn that would actually be heavier, but maybe like an alpaca silk blend sort of thing. I think that would be gorgeous and just behave really beautifully on the body. So yeah, that's that one. And I guess we'll just go all with knitting whips, and then we'll get into the crochet at the end. So another work in progress that we are chugging along with. I think this is the front, yes. So this is a work in progress. This is the Shifty Sweater. The design is the Shifty Sweater by Andrea Mowry. If you are a knitter with a capital K, or even a knitter with a lowercase k, you've probably heard of this pattern. It's very popular. I feel like everyone has knit this thing. I've already knit it once, and this is my second one, but this one is going to be for a friend, and I am knitting it entirely with my own hand spun yarn that I bought the fiber and then spun it up and I am using 6 different colorways for this whole thing. So the body is finished, and I finally finished the sewn bind off. That is always my the most dreaded thing. It's not that I don't hate it. It's just, it's not my most favorite part. I would rather just be making the fabric. I'd rather be knitting the fabric than spending an hour or a couple hours doing a sewn bind off. But that's how it ended up. And I think it's definitely worth it in the end, because you're gonna have this garment for a really long time. You want it to be well finished, I would think. That's at least my preference. So I think it is worth the extra time putting it in to have that nice finish. If you like the look of a sewn bind off, so that the ribbing kind of just goes to the very edge and it looks perhaps less handmade. Not that it looking handmade is a bad thing at all. I actually like that. But anyway, you know what I'm saying. So we have a sleeve. Look at that! We have a sleeve. I am so happy with how these colors are playing together. I think I've said this before. I wish I could keep this sweater. I love the colors so much. I am very much a purples and pink kind of person. I will have extras of all of the hand spuns, but still, it's like, do I really want to spend the time to make pretty much an exact copy of this one? I don't know. But I hope my friend's really gonna love it. I hope she'll get a lot of wear out of it. I think it is gorgeous, and it is totally her style as well. So yeah, we have a sleeve, and I still need to do the sewn bind off on this end. You can see I still have it on my little 9-inch circulars. This is my favorite way to knit sleeves. You don't get any of that weird tensioning that can sometimes happen if you're doing magic loop on sleeves. I find especially when you're working with more than one color, and you can kind of like where the magic loop would change needles, you can sometimes get a weird like tensioning issue of like your gauge is like a little bit tighter there or a little bit off, maybe even looser. So the way that I have found to mitigate that and make sure that doesn't happen is just to use 9-inch circulars, so that you're always going in the round and the gauge hypothetically never changes. It looks even all the way around the circumference. So there we go. I love this sweater. Oh my gosh. That's the whole front, and just all these fun colors. I've been changing the foreground and the background color as I go. So there's 6 different colorways instead of the normal 4 different colorways as described in the pattern. So maybe if you're gonna knit one of these, or one of Andrea Mowry's patterns with this sort of a like stitch pattern, just go for it. Just use any amount of yarn. You know, you don't have to feel like you need to stick to the 4 colorways or the 6 colorways or whatever the pattern states. You know, you can. It's supposed to look like fun and colorful and mixed. So why not just play? Just play with the colors and do whatever you want. So that's that one. Next is we'll get into the other Amaretta blouse that I'm working on currently. So this one I am making in one size too big for myself. I'm making this in a larger size than I would normally make for myself. I wanted this one to be a little bit more roomy and just kind of more comfy vibes. This one is much more fitted. This is the size that I would normally knit for myself. And then this one is one size bigger. So this one is definitely going to be a fall, winter, deep, dark, elegant, I don't know, just wintry vibes, you know, cold weather vibes for this one. So I also chose unspun yarn for this colorway since that is naturally a lot warmer, and I'm really happy with how it's going. I have almost finished the body, So it was a lot of stockinette in the round, which I really enjoy. I know some people find that tedious and annoying, but I think there's definitely a place for it, at least in my knitting journey and my knitting projects. I always like to have at least one project that I can just go stockinette and not have to think, and I can just pick it up whenever I don't want to think about anything. Truly just mindless or mindful. Anyway, the edging that I'm doing on this one is a little bit different as well. So the bottom hem, I'm doing a folded over hem, and it's going to be really hard to show you, I think. But here I have done a ridge, one row of pearl stitches, and then I've knit stockinette again, and now I'm at the point where I need to fold it over and tack it down on the inside. So then on the right side, it will look something like this. So the idea behind this is that the fabric will not roll up, because normally with stockinette, if you were to just knit stockinette and then bind off, it's going to be curling in on itself. And that's a look. That's definitely, you can do that. But for this one, I wanted it to look nicely finished at the hem, but I didn't want ribbing. So this is kind of a workaround. So it's a little bit thicker, and also adds a little bit more weight. So hypothetically, it will lay flat and nicely there at the hem. And so that's kind of going to be what it looks like, just flat there. So yeah, I still need to do that step, and then I will be working on the sleeves. Right now the stitches are just on hold, and then I will be doing the neckline finishing. And yeah, this one I've been kind of putting to the wayside, to the side, because I've been focusing on that blue version, since that will be actually wearable at this point in the year where I am, where it's getting warmer. So that's that one. And okay, let's get into Amigurumi. I have been having a lot of fun with this, learning a lot and having a lot of fun. So my birthday was a couple of weeks ago, and my partner so kindly gifted me a couple of books, this being one of them. So this is what started it all. He had known that I've been wanting to do amigurumi for years, but at first I thought, oh no, I can't crochet. It seems too difficult. I just couldn't really wrap my mind around it. But as I've been getting more into crochet recently and learning more about it and just trial and error, testing things, he bought this for me for my birthday, and I have been playing around with it. I just think they are so adorable. I love these little creatures. When he showed me this book, I especially fell in love with this little guy. Isn't he so cute? A little shrew. He looks like little detective, like Sherlock Holmes kind of guy. Love him. So I really want to make that one, but the author has so kindly put in the book, she has scales of how difficulty levels. So I really appreciate that. This is another one of them. Try not to show the pattern, but you can see there at the bottom there's a little difficulty scale. So I chose one of the simplest patterns to start with, since again I haven't ever done amigurumi. So I am working on this little cow here. She's so cute, and I think she named all of them as well. But if you have a child, I think this would especially be wonderful for little babies, either a boy or girl, babies or anything. You can find something in this book. I just think so cute. And I don't have any children. I don't have any friends that are having any children, but I just wanted to play and learn, and they're just adorable. So at this point, I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with this little guy when I finish, but I don't know. We'll see. It might be gifted, it might be kept. We shall see. I just wanted to play. So this is the head. Oh yeah, another thing. She does tell you, the author does tell you, she does tell you in the book what yarn to use, what yarn she's using for all of the patterns. It's some kind of a cotton yarn. I did not want to do that. I wanted to work with wool. I just really prefer wool, the feeling of wool in my fingers, and I have a ton of it. ton of unspun yarn. Specifically, I have unspun yarn in pretty much any color, so I figured I could find colors to match close enough to what she's using in the book. So what I tried to do for the little cow, I tried to find unspun yarn that would match the original as closely as I could. So this is the little head now. I have finished the little head. You can see the nose area is definitely a darker pink than what she used, but I think it's close enough. It's what I could get close enough. And I also ordered the little eyes, so that is how the little head turned out. Right now I just have like a bunch of little separated pieces and I still need to like bring it all into a, person, a character. This is the body, kind of a fun shape. And these are some little stitch markers that are gonna do something. I don't know what we're gonna do. Maybe that's where you add on the arms at the end. And then I also have the little arms. And I think we're gonna use the ends, the yarn ends for stitching them to the thing. So those are the little arms, just teeny tiny little stitches. I also had to order a new crochet hook for this project because wow, is it a tiny crochet hook. Can you see? So tiny. This is a 2.5 millimeter and I have really been loving these tulip. I was just doing research online as far as like what are the best, most comfortable crochet hooks, and these looked like they would be good, so I ordered one for something else I'm working on and then I also ordered this size for this project, and I really enjoy it. It's like a soft touch, really comfortable in the hand, and the yarn glides really nicely on this metal tip. I've just been loving it, absolutely loving it. So not sponsored at all. I'm not a crochet person, but I really love these particular ones. And these are the little feets, the little legs and feet. So I still need to stuff these. How fun, how cute. Ugh, adorable. And I haven't done the dress yet, but that will be next, I think, since I've done all the other pieces. Oh, maybe the ears are next, I think. Little ears there. But then I need to do the dress, and I already have all the colors picked out. So this was the pink that I used for the nose. This is the gray that I've been using, and this is the green that I will use for the dress. And then the little pop of yellow will be this one. So that is how that's going. I'm having a lot of fun. If you have been curious about amigurumi or wanted to do amigurumi at all, I would highly recommend it, and would highly recommend this book as well. It's been really, really nice to follow. There's been a couple of times where I've needed to look up a certain stitch technique, but she also has a little stitch dictionary in here, so that really helps too. But it's really easy to follow. All the rows are written out step by step, like row by row, all the instructions. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Been really enjoying that one. So hopefully next time I'll be able to share with you the finished cow, and we'll be able to have a finished toy. I think that's it. I think that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining me. I would love to hear what you are working on right now, whether that's knitting or crochet or hand spinning or sewing or whatever you're making. I would love to hear about it. And maybe if you have some plans for the summer. I know some of us tend to not do as much knitting in the summer maybe, since it is getting hotter, and having knitting sitting on your lap in the middle of summer maybe it doesn't sound that great, right? Really sweaty and gross. So what are you planning on knitting this summer, and or making, or what have you? I would love to hear and get some ideas. So that is it for today. Again, thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and that's all. Bye-bye.